Hi, this is Curtis Ippolito, the author of Waves of Burden, and welcome to One Final Twist.
I'm here today with Curtis Ippolito, and I am super excited because I'm a huge crime fiction fan. But if you would have asked me 2 years ago, where would I be leaning into reading, it would not have been crime fiction. And so I'm excited to dig into your background as an author. Waves of Burden. Can you go ahead and tell everybody what Waves of Burden is about?
Sure. So, Waves of Burden is about a reluctant father-to-be who is forced to track down his nomadic foster brother to return him and $100,000 that he stole from a ruthless criminal in order for the to save both of their lives.
Okay, what was the original nugget for this?
The original nugget,
Yeah,
like where the inspiration come from.
yeah.
Yeah, so a few places actually. So I had originally I had written a short story about two foster brothers, and they were two totally different foster brothers in a different situation. But it got me thinking about how that dynamic could make for a really good novel and a longer story. So I had that in the back of my head, and then I also was coming off writing or publishing Burying the Newspaper Man, which is a little more intense and kind of traumatic. And I wanted to write something fun. And I love San Diego. I've lived here for going on 12 years, and I just love it, and I really wanted to show off this amazing area. And so I came up with this idea of these foster brothers and one having to chase the other one all around the county. And I thought, what a great device to show off San Diego and let readers in on kind of the hidden gems in our communities.
So is Hodad real?
Absolutely. Yes, it is. It is real and it is awesome.
As soon as I got to that part, which is the beginning, I was like, "Oh, this is one of those places." What I love to when I go someplace new, I like to visit those little knowns or like where the locals eat, not necessarily what
Same.
makes. Yeah.
Yeah, same.
When you compare the Newspaper Man and Waves of Burden, so the Newspaper Man, it's really interesting. The title sounds a lot lighter than Waves of Burden, but
Right?
they're not like Newspaper Man is way heavier. So how was it easier to write this one, or when you've completed it, how did you feel?
It wasn't easier, but it in some ways was more fun. Just the subject matter was a little lighter. I was, making San Diego more of a prominent character or player in this novel than in Burying the Newspaper Man. And so when I got finished writing, I was just on a high. Like I felt so good about it. I it was the first novel that I truly outlined start to finish, followed every beat in off of a beat sheet. So it was really stringent about making sure I hit all those points in a crime novel. And so yeah, it was also the feeling of I was able to do this again. I think as writers and authors, we always go into writing a novel and think this is so hard. Like, how do you do this? And you end up doing it. And then when you start the next one, you have that same feeling of like, how do I write a novel? And but when you get to the end of it, you're like, oh, that is just feels so good. It's like uh, climbing a mountain and getting to the top, or going for a long ocean swim and getting back to shore. It's just a rush.
Novels versus short stories. So, and as a reader, they're very different. And for me, I love a short story because I need to know that my author gave me all of the information in a short amount of time.
Hmm.
How tell me the difference in writing them.
Yeah, there's some big differences. In writing short stories, I think it's almost a little tougher because of what you said. You have to give, everything pertaining to that moment in time in that person's life or those short few moments of time. And you have to make it all make sense. And so your word choice has to be precise, and you can't waste any words. You can't let it drift out and just keep going and going and going. So you have to be tight. You have to be concise with your language. So in a lot of ways, it's tougher than writing a novel, where a novel gives you some freedom while you're writing it to explore the characters, kind of explore your themes and your ideas as you go along. And then you can always just scale it back, edit it, change it. It's this kind of working organism, whereas a short story, it's gotta hit.
So in this book, you have your two brothers and Gabby. Did you, what were, so when you have, those are your three main characters, well, the good ones. So, well, I don't know. You know what I'm saying.
I do.
For your main characters, do you have like a board, like an inspiration board, like what they look like, what they, how, their habits, their mannerisms? When you're writing a novel, how do you set your characters up?
I do write character sketches, and so I'll take a page or two for each character, and I'll just do exactly what you said, just kind of go through even things that I may not even mention, like what is their eye color, or what's their favorite food, or what was their favorite childhood memory, like really just to flesh out them as real beings and get an idea who they are. So that's something I do before I get started. And sometimes those details change once the characters show up and I start using them. But for the most part, I would say I follow my character sketches.
Is it fun having San Diego basically as its own character?
Yes. Yeah, it's so fun. It's so easy. It just comes to me naturally. Even in some short stories, I base everything in San Diego for the most part. And even in my short stories, I don't set out to like show off some part of San Diego, but it just leaches in, it is, it's part of us, even down to like, things like the weather or I came from Texas where we had horrible mosquitoes. We don't have mosquitoes here, and so that allows you to eat out on a patio year round, along with the beautiful weather. So things like that just like impact your characters too. If you can have a character eating lunch on a patio in January, like that sets it apart from a story based in New York City in January or Texas in January. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So crime fiction, has that always been your go-to genre to write in?
No, actually, when I was in college, I minored in English and took almost all creative writing courses. And the school I was at was very literary focused. And so I trained with that um, in that genre, and it just didn't really work for me. Like, I don't, I like to read literary novels, not as much right now that I'm kind of really loving crime fiction. But, when I came back to writing fiction, I thought to myself, well, I love watching crime movies. I love reading crime novels. I was a crime and police reporter. Why don't I just write what I love? And so once I did that, my writing really just clicked into place and I was like, oh, this is what I was meant to write.
Do you get to work with like local police and things of that nature when you're coming down to that part of it? Like you're detectives in the story.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. For my first novel, I met afterwards with a police officer and picked his brain and ran some things past him. And then, yeah, in the novel I'm working on right now, one of the protagonists is a homicide detective. So thankfully, I met a detective in the San Diego Police Department who's willing to beta read and help me with that area. So yeah, things like that are huge help to just make sure that the story and the character is as authentic as possible.
So now that you planned out Waves of Burden and you found that it was easier, are you doing that in the next book?
Yes, so that one I outlined as well. And yeah, it's working well for the most part. I am kind of stuck right now, but it's not because of the outline, it's just because of like the state of the world and also like part of the story I ended on was pretty emotional, so I'm having to figure out what the reaction to that is in the next scene and how best to get that going. So yeah, I think outlining is definitely the way to go for me. um and within it, things can change and you can adjust your plot and your character's reactions to things, but as long as you just follow those beats, for the most part, I'm going to be following that outline.
Crime fiction can get very dark. And I'll be honest with you, I you can put me right in the dark. I like it. But how dark is too dark for you to write?
Oh, to write? Uh, yeah, I don't know. I'm not really big on like really like gratuitous violence. And I say that as like I'm fine reading it. I'm not as confident writing it because that's kind of not where my mind is focused. So it would probably be that part of the darkness that I have trouble writing. You know, uh, as far as subject matter, I already touched on something uh, pretty rough in my first novel. So it would just depend on the story and depend if it's needed in the story. But I wouldn't shy away from anything necessarily just from the get-go.
So was The Newspaper Man your first full novel?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Well, that's cool. I didn't realize that. I guess I just think I'm coming into the scene kind of newer and everybody has been well established like before I got there. But that's really exciting. I didn't know that. How do you like going to the writers' conventions or the readers, however, whichever one?
Yeah, I love them. Like I think it is like definitely helped me find my people and find those creators, those artists that I align with, and I've made, great friends for life through those conventions. And then they also just teach you a lot. They, you know, expose you to readers. You learn what readers want and what they're looking for. Introduce you to reviewers like yourself. We met at a conference. Like, it's just a great way to meet people and meet people who have like interest in mind. And I think that's really important right now, especially in the reading space with books and reading being so political, and it's almost like an act of resistance now to say that you're a reader. So I think those spaces are really important right now.
It's in I that's one thing I can say about about crime fiction, especially like in this little part where you're at. You guys are thick as thieves. I
Yeah.
mean, and it's really cool. You support each other. And your readers are in there. It's like a cult following. When you get in this group, you want to stay in that group. Because there's, you have like they're really big authors and they kind of have their own, but their readers are not nearly as vocal as the crime fiction readers. I don't think. I mean, I don't see it.
Yeah, I love that.
Um, Without spoilers, because Waves of Burden. So okay, let me back up. How did you come up with the name for Waves of Burden?
I have to credit my friend Paul Garth. He's an editor at Rock and a Hard Place, but even before he saw the book, I was just, you know, asking a group of friends, like, having trouble naming this book, and here are the elements, and here are the characters and the themes, and Paul came up with that. And I was like, as soon as I heard it, I was like, yep, that's it. That's it.
One of my favorite things is to find the name of the book or why that book is named that. And it didn't really settle for me until the very end. And so I can't say anything why it is
Yeah,
why,
yeah.
but it
My
did.
wife is the same way. Like if an author names their title in like the first couple chapters, she's set. She's like, "This is a great book."
Yeah,
She loves to see
yeah,
that. I
yeah.
don't do that as often. I usually use more of a thematic title to kind of encapsulate the mood and the vibe of the novel.
What do you want for readers to walk away with at the end of the story?
So I set myself three rules when I started this novel. I wanted it to be fun. I wanted it to have a ton of heart, and I wanted it to make readers want to come visit San Diego when they were done reading it. And so, if any of those three things happen, I'll be happy.
There is a very big underlying story about becoming a father.
Mhm.
Can you kind of talk about that part a little bit?
Sure. So, the main character, Drew Jones, is he grew up in the foster care system and he aged out. He uh, ended up coming to a foster care home in his teens where he met his brother Jake Dwyer, who's also was in foster care and with his family. And so they grew up in their teen years together, but they both aged out. They weren't adopted. And so Drew is married now. He and his wife Gabby are even expecting a baby. But because of the instability that Drew grew up with in his childhood, he's not sure if he can be a good father and is fearing that mantle of fatherhood. And so it's kind of, pulling at him. His childhood is pulling back at him and he wants to create a stable life for his wife and his baby that's coming, a life that he never had, but he's ultimately still letting that fear of failure drive him.
Have you thought about doing, and this is totally for me too, it's because there could almost be a prequel to this, like a
Mhm.
pre-story from Drew and Jake. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, I actually did write that it's not like prequel, but I did write a short story from Jake's perspective, because he shows up in San Diego, uh, having hitched a ride with some friends. So I wrote a short story that was published in an anthology where it's that trip of him driving down with his friends to San Diego and they get stuck in Spokane, Washington, and he does some shady stuff. So that was a lot of fun. So yes, I've definitely thought about like maybe even just more short stories that explore that world before Waves of Burden.
Jake's he's a little tricky guy. He's
Yeah.
of all the side characters, and this is what one thing that I love about when you have a character driven story is I start to cheer them on and Drew and Gabby, they kind of have a really good community around them, whether it's the general contractor or the neighbor. Which of the side characters or her parent? It's her parents, yeah. Which
Mhm.
of who did you enjoy writing the most?
Probably Bernie, their landlord,
Oh,
and
he's a hoot.
he's he's based on a real Bernie. He was our landlord when we first moved to San Diego, and when I started writing this, I text him and I just said, Bernie, can I write you into my novel? And he's like, Yeah, of course. Just treat me well. And I was like, Okay, I'll try. But yeah, he was so much fun to write because I just basically wrote him as he truly is.
And he was the when he keeps on checking on Gabby, and then he sees that Jake is cute and all that. Oh, I mean, I just loved everything about him.
Yeah.
And then at the do you say Mon, Mon?
Yes. Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, she's really there for her people, like, and she believed in them. So I liked her too.
Yeah, I like Mon a lot.
What is next for you?
So I am working on a new novel, and as I mentioned, so it's a little bit of a challenge for me. It's a multi-point of view. It's actually three characters, two females and a male. So it'll also be the first time that I'm writing a woman's point of view in a novel. And so I'm pitching it as Mayor of Easttown crossed with Small Mercies by Dennis Lehane. So it's going to be a murder mystery set here in San Diego.
Are you excited about that? I mean, stepping out of like the norm where you have been writing.
Yeah, I really am. Like, I think it's some of my best writing, and I just got to uh, get this finished so I can whip it into shape.
Is your wife reading the female perspective and getting on to you and say, no, a woman would never say that?
She definitely reads everything first. She takes it as a point of pride to read everything that I write first before anyone else reads it. And I do lean on her for that. And I think for the most part, I get most things right. But there's been a couple things where she's like, no, no, I don't think that would work. You need to look into that a little more. So I
It's a
definitely,
really big deal for a reader to see
sure.
like a man writing a female perspective and we'll call it out. I mean, we're like, nope, wouldn't do that.
Yeah, definitely with this book, I'm going to send it to quite a few female readers to just make sure that I'm getting it right.
What book events are you going to this
Oh,
year?
okay. Yeah, so I'm going to BoucherCon in Calgary, so really excited about that. And then also I'm going to Crime Bake in Massachusetts later in the year. I think it's in November.
I've not heard of Crime Bank. I'll check that one out. That's on
Yeah,
my side of the country.
yeah.
I
I've
don't
never
know
been
that I'm
there.
going to Calgary. It's I don't know that I can go there for the first time and stay inside. If I go to Calgary, I will not come inside for books. I just know me and I won't do it.
Yeah, we plan to get there 2 days early so we can go for a hike with some friends.
Yeah, that will it will be really fun.
Yeah,
So
if you
you're
want to
ready
go
for
for a
your
hike, get in early.
yeah, that's the thing. If I do it, I will leave the Friday before and fly in, rent a car, and do several things in the area, and then end up like Thursday. I won't. I'm like last year in New Orleans, I went on Wednesday, but I may not even get to the event till Thursday
Yeah,
because I just know me. I'm not gonna. I would if it were up to me, I would stay outside 24/7.
I know, I'm the same.
All right, so you ready for your lightning round?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, very first question is from Rob.
Oh, okay.
How'd you get so pretty?
Oh, Rob, you're hilarious.
He's so funny. He said that. I said, I'm going to ask it. Okay, the Padres or the Dodgers?
Padres.
Who's your favorite player of all time?
George Brett, because I'm a big Royals fan.
Pearl Jam or Stone Temple Pilots?
Oh, that is so tough. I'll have to give it to Pearl Jam just because they have a bigger discography.
Have you seen Pearl Jam in concert?
Yes, yeah,
Yes.
several times.
I've only seen them one time and it was in Nashville. We had terrible seats, but it was really good. And I may not understand anything Eddie Vedder says, but I am there for it the whole
Yes.
time. So, what is your favorite Pearl Jam song?
Oh, probably oh man, that's so tough. It just changes, you know? Oh man, I can't even choose a favorite because there's like 20 pinging in my head, you know? It just
It
changes
is
all the
hard, and like
time.
you said, it changes. It moves. Like the music is very emotional, and it's not like
Yes.
How are the turtles?
They are great. Yes. So for anyone that's listening, I keep turtles and they breed and reproduce, and then I sell them or give them to friends, and it's just a way of captive conservation. And so recently we had some Burmese star tortoises lay eggs and their babies hatched, and so we have 10, 11 baby tortoises right now.
Do you name them in the whole thing?
We name the adults, but we don't name the babies. Yeah.
How long? What is their lifespan?
It depends on the species. So, like an American box turtle can live like up to 100 years old. There are tortoises like the Galapagos tortoise can live
Mhm.
250 years. And but then there, pond turtles are more like 30, 40 years. So it ranges anywhere from like 20 years to 250 years, depending on the species.
That's cool. Okay, so I know that you also do a lot of native Californian plant stuff. Which is your favorite plant?
Right now, I'd say Delphinium cardinal. It's a larkspur. And it's this
Oh,
bright cherry red, and it looks like a rocket. It's so cool.
are you able to keep things blooming year round?
No, so the native plants, they have a cycle, and the majority of California natives, at least Southern California, will bloom in the spring and early summer, and then things start to go dormant in the summer, and then everything recharges again when we get our winter rains. So
Oh,
there
that's
are
cool.
things that will bloom throughout the year, but not like everything. But there are fall bloomers and even some that bloom in the winter, but just not as much as in the spring when everything's blooming.
So in New Mexico, they say very seriously, if you put sour cream on your Mexican food, you're white. Do you really put sour cream on your food in California?
No, it's not that big of a thing.
It's in the book. When they went to Gabby's parents' dinner, she said, "Grab the sour cream." I
Uh,
said, "What? What are we getting sour cream on there?"
Yep.
Could you hang your own drywall?
Yes, I could. And I have. Yeah.
All right, and the last question for you is who would win at we call it Indian leg wrestling. So who would win at leg wrestling, you or your wife?
Probably me.
Or do you have a local bookstore or somewhere that readers can contact to get a signed copy?
Yes. So
Okay.
Artifact Books in Encinitas. I think it's if you look it up, you just look up Artifact Books Encinitas, but
Okay.
they will have signed copies that you can order and they ship. So anywhere wherever you are in the country, you can get one from them.
And I need all of your handles. Where can readers find you?
Sure. So I'm on Instagram at Curtis_SD for San Diego. And on Blue Sky, I'm just at my name, Curtis Ippolito. And my website is also just my name, curtisippolito.com.
Well, I appreciate you coming on here and talking to me.